Good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports with another football video, and today I'm talking about my NFL draft from my fantasy football league that I made for the channel. This league is completely made from subscribers to the channel. Most of them are long-term subscribers, as well as some other people who have YouTube channels on football content that are also very small like me. They include Football Whale, who I've done a lot of collabs with in the past, and Super Duper Football Show, a much smaller channel that has recently started making videos that watches the channel a lot, and I've started watching their videos as well. It was really fun to do this draft with these guys, as well as some long-term subscribers that are very active in the channel community. And yeah, so there's 11 teams in the league because that's the number of people that we got to do the draft. And so I had the 5th pick. So I'm basically going to go through each of the rounds, what my plan was going into that round, and how my plans changed based off of who was selected. So the first round I wanted Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was ranked 5th in the league. I had the 5th spot, but Football Whale stole him at number 4. I ended up with Saquon Barkley, who I'm not disappointed having. I just prefer Derrick Henry. I think that Henry's a more consistent running back, especially considering he hasn't had the injuries that Saquon's had in his career. But I'm by no means disappointed with receiving Saquon for my first pick of the draft. In round 2, Deandre Hopkins was basically the best available, and he's who I wanted. So I ended up going with Hopkins. I was deciding between Hopkins and DK Metcalf. I was looking at Tyler Lockett as well. But Hopkins was one of the most consistent wide receivers the last 5 years. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett obviously compete with each other, so I don't really want to gamble on which one of them is going to be more prominent in the Seahawks offense. Also, considering Arizona's offense is looking much stronger this year overall, with the addition of AJ Green and the addition of their new backup running back, who I can't think of their name right now, but they got James Conner from the Steelers. I just think that they're going to have a very strong offense this year, and I think that Hopkins is going to benefit from that in fantasy stats. Round 3, I was looking for another wide receiver because I got a round 1 running back, and Keenan Allen seemed like the perfect fit. In round 4, Josh Allen was the second quarterback selection. Dak Prescott was selected in the 6th pick of the second round. And so I was like, okay, quarterbacks are starting to go. Better pick the best one off the board as soon as I can. I got Mahomes in the 4th round. He's usually picked, they have an average draft position for all of the players in the draft room. Mahomes' average draft position is 19.5. I got him with pick 41. So I got him twice as low as he usually goes. I don't usually pick quarterbacks before round number 5 or 6. But because Mahomes was available in round 4, I had to go with him. I never pick quarterbacks in round 2, and that's usually when the top guys go. And so that's why when I saw Mahomes available in the 4th round, I was like, I guess got to do it. Round 5, I was still able to get Josh Jacobs, who was one of the top running backs the last 2 seasons. He's still the starting running back for the Raiders, and I think that if Derek Carr's production takes a step back this year, which I think it likely will, I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a fantastic season for fantasy. Round 6, I was looking for Julio Jones. Obviously, Julio Jones is going to have a great season. He always does well. If he's healthy, he's with Tennessee. Their offense is incredible, but I'm actually kind of glad I ended up with DJ Moore. I think that A.J. Brown is going to take a lot of receptions away from Julio. I think that because they run the ball a lot, there might not be as many available receptions for Julio to get. And so I think that DJ Moore is almost a safer pick than Julio Jones. Even though Julio Jones might be the higher risk, higher reward player, I think DJ Moore is a safer pick, and I'm glad I was almost forced into picking him. In round 7, I was looking for Mike Davis, and once again, Football Whale strikes again. He stole Mike Davis right out from underneath me. I was looking for Mike Davis. I really wanted Mike Davis from Atlanta. He did fantastic with Carolina last year when Christian McCaffrey was injured, and now he's the starting running back for the Falcons. So I was really disappointed when that was taken, but Myles Gaskin was a rookie last year for Miami. He had a really good rookie season. He was a strong player last year, and I expect him to be a strong player this year. So this was the third player, the third round, not in a row, but the third round out of 7 where I didn't get the guy that I wanted, which isn't honestly too bad. It's not too bad. I was also looking at Najee Harris in round 3, but I was looking for a wide receiver as well. So it's not too bad having 4 of your top 4 guys from your top each round. Round 8, I was looking for Rob Gronkowski. I was looking for Rob Gronkowski earlier. I was going to try and get him in round 7 or 8, but he was taken in round 6 here, hence my jersey and my team profile picture. But he was taken way earlier than he was projected to go. He was projected to go around pick 124, which is round 11. But obviously someone thought that he was a round 6 talent. I don't think that he's a round 6 talent this year, especially from the stats that we saw last year. I think that there are other available options such as Robert Tonyan, who I got 2 rounds later, that are effectively worth more for similar value, I think. I want to hope that Gronk does well this year because even though I'm a Patriots fan, I love seeing Gronk do well. But Robert Tonyan, round 8, I think he's going to do a fantastic job. I think that he had a great season last year. I think that this year he might even have a better season. This is his second year as a receiving tight end. Last year, he's been with the team for a few years, mostly as a blocker. Last year was his first year. He was able to get some receptions, and I think that this year the chemistry between him and Rodgers is going to elevate even more. He'll get more receptions, more yards, more touches. Maybe not more touchdowns, but I think that overall his point bonus will be higher. In round 9, I got Chase Claypool from Pittsburgh. I didn't really know who to pick in this round. I was just kind of going to see who was available when my pick came up. If you were watching the stream yesterday, you probably would have seen that I took most of my time on this pick. So, I didn't really know who to pick. Later on in the draft, you kind of start falling away from knowing exactly who you're picking to kind of okay, who's available this round? But I knew that there was some people available in the next round that I wanted. And I knew that at least one of them would be available. Starting with these 2 guys here, Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas. Antonio Brown only played half a season last year, but for the weeks that he was available as a player for fantasy, he did exceptionally well for someone who had been out of the league for over a year. He's with Tampa Bay. There's a lot of competition there, so that's why I think that he's more of a risk to take, whereas Michael Thomas, I got in round 10. I got Michael Thomas in the 10th round, and he's only gone for 5 weeks. He's only out week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with injury. Week 6 is his bye week, and he's back week 7. So, Michael Thomas, the guy that was number 1 in fantasy 2 years ago and averaged 17 points per game last year, flew completely under the radar to round number 10. He's likely a 3rd or 4th round talent based off of the number of points he's going to be getting this season. I remember people were picking Ezekiel Elliott in round 3 last year. Or no, the year he was suspended. The year he was suspended for 8 games, people were picking Elliott in round 3 or 4. Michael Thomas was picked in round 10. I think that that's insanely lucky, and I'm super happy to have him. Round 11, I picked up my backup tight end, Jonnu Smith. I never would have picked Jonnu Smith as a starting tight end. I like having at least one Patriots player on my team, and I figured round 11 was a decent place to pick a backup tight end. The reason why I didn't want Jonnu Smith as a starter was because him and Hunter Henry were likely going to be competing with each other to see who the starting tight end actually is going to be. Jonnu Smith has had more production last year, but Hunter Henry's been a more solid choice at tight end for the last 2 years, considering he's more of a veteran. But he's also older than Smith, so I think that Belichick likes throwing to tight ends. He likes using tight ends in the offense. Combined, they're going to get a lot of yards, touchdowns, and receptions, but the individual stats is what I'm more concerned about. So I think that Jonnu Smith was the right choice between the two, but only time will tell. Round 12, I had the same euphoric feeling as I did when I got Michael Thomas when I was able to get David Johnson, Houston starting running back. I think technically on the depth chart he's behind Mark Ingram, but I think that he's going to be their starting guy. Last year he didn't have an amazing season, but he had a decent season. He hasn't really been a top running back since 2016 before his major injury. After his injury, he went back to the Cardinals. He had a decent season with more injuries, and then he was traded to Houston for the Deandre Hopkins trade. So I think that this year he's a very big question mark. I think that round 12 is an appropriate round to take him because if I took him any higher, it would have been a wasted pick. But in round 12, when you already have all of your starters and backups for every position, I think that it's worth taking a chance on someone that has the potential to be really good, but also could be a really big bust. Round 13, I got my defense. Defenses were starting to go. At this point, the Bills' defense is gone, the Steelers' defense had gone, Washington's defense is gone. I believe the Ravens' defense had gone, the Bucs' defense had gone. That's 5 defenses right there. I took the 6th defense of the draft at the Rams. The Rams had the strongest defense last year for fantasy points. They had the least points against. They had one of the most interceptions, one of the most sacks. I think that because of the way their defense is set up, they're one of the easiest teams to convert last year's performance to this year as far as fantasy points goes. So I think that they're the best defense on the board, including any other defense out there. So I'm glad that I ended up with them. I was assigned between them and the Patriots defense, but as you can tell, they both went pretty quick, so I wouldn't have been able to get both of them. I would not have been able to have a backup defense even if I wanted it. So I ended up with the Rams defense, but also there's always that one defense that nobody expects to do well that starts doing well all of a sudden, and then people are fighting over it in the waiver wire. Last year was Tampa Bay, so we'll see next year. Round 14, I got Greg Zuerlein, kicker, number 7 in the round. Greg Zuerlein's always been a strong kicker. He was one of the most high-producing fantasy kickers a couple of years ago with the Rams. Now that Dak Prescott's back at quarterback in Dallas, I think that he'll be just as high production value in fantasy this year. In round 15, I got J.D. McKissic for Washington. He's the backup to Antonio Gibson, but he also had a very solid season last year. This was basically my last round pick because I was expecting to pick a backup quarterback in the next round. And so considering I already knew who the quarterbacks left were and that every other team had already picked their backup quarterbacks, I was like, okay, I know who my backup quarterback is. Nobody's going to steal him from me. I'll pick my Mr. Irrelevant, that ended up being J.D. McKissic. I think that he'll have a decent season. I don't know if there were any better options available, but if there are, they weren't drafted. So, not really a big loss there. And last but not least, we have Kirk Cousins, my backup quarterback. He was one of the highest producing quarterbacks last year with over 300 points. And yeah, I just think he's going to have a phenomenal season this year. Not starting quarterback material, but he's definitely worth a 16th round pick. I mean, I don't know how he wasn't drafted by anyone else in the league. So that being said, someone dropped the Bucs defense. Okay. That's news. Okay, this was not expected. I didn't think this was going to be in the video. I'm probably going to pick them up as a backup defense and drop J.D. McKissic. Actually, I'll do that in this video. I'll put in my waiver in this video. Anyways, so people have been making trades already. They already don't like their teams. So I've been bumped up to the second best. I was third best team after the draft. My current ranking is second based off of ESPN's projections. I know ESPN's projections are based off of the teams right now and not based off of anything in the future that could happen. Number 1 is Packers for life. Coruscant Crew made a bad trade with Football Whale, where they got Derrick Henry from them, but they gave up a lot to get Derrick Henry, which wasn't a major upgrade from the running back that they lost. Football Whale made a major jump from 10th to 3rd in the projections from that same trade. The Toronto Ducks just moved up based off of the people that just dropped the Bucs defense. Not sure why they did that. So, my final roster looks a little bit like this. Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Deandre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Robert Tonyan, DJ Moore, Rams defense, Greg Zuerlein, Myles Gaskin, Chase Claypool, Michael Thomas, Jonnu Smith, David Johnson, J.D. McKissic, and Kirk Cousins. By the time the playoffs roll around, if Michael Thomas is producing what he usually does, I'll have Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Michael Thomas as my 3 starting wide receivers. they have all been top 5 fantasy prospects in the past, and the fact that I can have all 3 of them on the same team is insane. Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley are both solid running backs. My running back position isn't very deep, but hopefully David Johnson and Myles Gaskin can be good additions to the team. So that is my fantasy team. I'm probably going to be following the team very closely this year, and yeah, I'm going to be making more fantasy videos during the season this year. Last year I made a lot of fantasy prediction videos, but since I didn't have a very active off-season this year, I'm going to be making a lot of videos concerning my fantasy team and the league that we're doing within the channel, since it is within the channel. I'm projected to win the first game 119-107, but the opponent doesn't currently have a defense in because they're the ones that just dropped the Bucks. And I have the 3rd highest projected team this week, I think. Okay, not the 3rd highest this week, but I am the 2nd highest projected team for the whole season. And and because there's 11 teams that have bye weeks. So I'm the 2nd highest projected team for the season, but individual weeks may vary. So, yeah, that was my fantasy draft. I think it went pretty well. I still would have liked Rob Gronkowski, hence my profile picture and my jersey and everything else. I need to figure out who has him and try and get him. I don't know how I'll go about doing that, but I'll probably go about doing it somehow. Hopefully before the season so they don't see how valuable he actually is. The bacon-flavored victory. That's who it is. So, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, smash subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.